access to this information by going to the My Run website. If they just Google Rutgers My Run, it'll bring them to our homepage, and the link to sign up for any of the virtual appointments that I just outlined is available. As we walk into the academic year, we do understand that some students will need to come into the office to manage some in-person activities, which is usually paying their bill by cash, or for the Office of Financial Aid, some forms you have to submit in person. Those are usually the instances where students will be allowed to come onto campus to the Office of Financial Aid, the registrar, or business services. We will probably start having in-person appointments after August 18th. A link will also be available on the My Run website. Students will need to apply for an in-person appointment. So we have a record of who will be on the floor so we can best manage social distancing and ensure that we have adequate staff to assist students on the days that students are coming in. So most of this information will be available on the My Run Rutgers website.
Awesome. Thank you so much. The MyRun website for all of you is the central place where students can get any and all pertinent information for the Newark campus. And so again, we want you to visit the MyRun website. Now is a great time to get familiar with it, especially since classes haven't started yet. And we'll make sure to put the website in the chat so that you guys will be able to see it and access it at any point in time. Natalia, can I just circle back for a second? Do you know when the students can expect their term bills?
So term bills have been sent out to students. We actually started last week sending out term bill notifications to students so they can go online and access their term bill. Again, going into the My Rutgers portal is one way of accessing your term bill. Also, My Rutgers portal allows for a dashboard where students can also view their term bill information. So students can now at this point go in, see their term bill charges. Term bill charges will have tuition, fees, health insurance for any student who is full-time. And then students can see their information at this point. Financial aid is also reflected on those term bills. If students have any questions, concerns, by all means, please reach out to my office so that we can best assist you in managing your educational costs.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. One last piece that I wanted to ask you about. We require students to participate in the Are You Here process. Could you kind of explain what that is and why it's important for them to make sure they adhere to the Are You Here process?
So just before I go into that, I did want to go back to the term bill. I know our offices have gotten some questions. We know that President Holloway had informed the student population that tuition would be frozen for this academic year. What that simply means is that there will be no increase in tuition. Typical practices that from year to year, we usually see an increase in tuition charges of 2 to 3%. The university has taken the stance due to the pandemic and some of the hardships that our students are facing that they have frozen tuition to last year's rate. So last year's rate, school year, fall 19 and spring 20, the tuition rates will remain the exact same for the upcoming fall 20 and spring 21. He also announced that there would be a 15% reduction in the campus fee for all students. That is reflected on students' terms bill. They may say, oh, I only see a charge of, let's say, $918. Last year, the campus rate for undergraduate students, for example, was $1,080. 15% of that brings it down to $918. So it just shows what the 15% charge is, so that students can best understand that it has been applied and is reflected in their term bill. So I just wanted to make sure, I know we've been getting those questions into our office, that we've given our incoming students that information as well. In regards to Are You Here? Are You Here is presented to all students who are enrolled in Rutgers courses. Um, it informs students that in order for us to finalize your registration, your financial aid, we need to know that you will be attending the fall semester with us. So it is a pop up confirmation that students will get anytime they access any Rutgers platform that requires their net ID. So if you go on to view your term bill, your financial aid award, you access Blackboard or Campus, that pop up will come up to you and it will ask you simply a question. Do you plan to be enrolled with us for the fall semester? And students will simply need to say yes or no. That information is pushed back to the registrar's office, the Office of Financial Aid, so we can finalize your registration and your financial aid process. For graduate students, the process is scheduled to start on August 24th. So again, if they access any platform that requires a net ID, they will get that pop up starting on August 24th. Students will have until September 15th to complete the process. They will get reminders every time that they go into a platform if they have not done the process. If students don't do the process by September 15th, then they will be deregistered for their courses.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Thank you,
You're
thank you,
welcome.
thank you. Students, if you have any questions in relation to financial aid, please put them into the chat and we'll make sure that we circle back to getting those questions answered. Our last panelist actually was able to arrive, so I do want to allow her to introduce herself. So Erica Williams, you want to go?
Hi, good morning, everyone. I hope everyone's well. My name is Erica Williams, and I serve as the Dean of Students here at Rutgers Newark. In my area, we get to have the privilege of being able to support students kind of outside of the classroom. And I know that many of you probably have questions about specifically housing, since we do know that the deadlines at this point have already passed in terms of applying. So I did just want to share that for students who did apply for housing, at this point, you should have either received correspondence to confirm that you will be joining us in the fall. If you haven't, then it should be coming to you. And the assignments will be shared with students in early August. So if you have any questions, you can email us at housing@newark.rutgers.edu. Should I share other information about services?
Yeah, actually, you know what? That was great. Can you tell us a little
So
bit
I
about
also,
maybe? Yeah,
yes. So I also want to mention that we are offering numerous services on campus. So in terms of what students have access to, we do have our counseling center, which is still open and offering conferencing with anybody who needs it or wants it. We would encourage students to utilize the services that we have available. We do have a recreation and facilities center, so that if you are interested in engaging in some fitness, we do have that also available for all students. You will have to schedule appointments in advance because, as you all know, we are adhering to the social distancing guidelines. So we want to make sure that anyone who's using those facilities are using them in a safe manner. So if you would like to get information about that, I can certainly put that link in the chat on how to connect. We also have lots of virtual programs that we're offering for all students. This also includes our new students. So we have virtual fitness classes, we have virtual de-stress fest events, and a plethora of activities to really help you engage and get connected on campus if that's something that you're interested in. So if you have any questions about any support services, feel free to ask and I will do my best to answer.
great. That's awesome. Thank you so much, David. Are you ready to go?
Hi, yeah. You would like me to just discuss some of the services that
Sure, absolutely. I specifically, Wi-Fi. I know that's an issue for a lot of our students. So if you can give us some suggestions on what is being done for Wi-Fi or what students can do to access good Wi-Fi, then we can start from there.
Absolutely. So there's three components really to the Wi-Fi. I guess the first that I want to underline at the very beginning is that Wi-Fi is active on campus, and as campus is able to reopen, it certainly is there for people to use. It's also active in parking lots, or if you drive past the campus, say you just need a really, really strong connection to upload a very large file or something like that, it's available. On the MyRun website, there's also some information about the Keeping America Connected pledge that various telecom companies have committed to. And that includes, some ways that individuals can get access to the internet during these times. And then finally, I just want to stress that if you need a specific assistance with something like Wi-Fi, or you have a very specific question about your circumstances, certainly you can email help@newark.rutgers.edu, and we can try and connect you to all the resources that are out there. So there is that point of contact. So please reach out. In terms of other services, I guess I could just run through some of the more common questions if that's what you'd like me to do that we've received. Sure. Okay. So, one of the common questions that students are having is, how can I access, the software that I need or the technology that I need for fall 2020? And there's a couple of answers to that. The first is that, we will have, actually right now, we have virtual computer labs that are live. So if you visit unit.rutgers.edu, you can connect to our virtual computer labs, and that actually connects you to the actual physical hardware that is in our computer labs right now. And so you'll have access to the same hardware and the same software in order to complete your work in the fall. And then, there's two actual solutions there. One requires a VPN and the other one does not. So you'll have that flexibility if you'd like. And then software is also available at software.rutgers.edu. The university has agreements with many software vendors to have reduced fee, licenses, and sometimes free licenses. For example, Microsoft Office is free to all students. You have access to Word, not Outlook, Word, Excel, all of the standard, Office suite. And, so that's that access comes to you just by being a student. So if you're out there purchasing technology, make sure you don't buy Office because you already have it. And then, if you go to the MyRun website, that website also includes information about certain software packages that have extended their licensing to, for free during the pandemic here. So that information is available. And a lot of people have had questions about computing labs and about printing on campus. And, the university is closely watching state and CDC rules. And as buildings are allowed to reopen, the computing facilities will also reopen. Obviously, there will be social distancing rules that will need to be followed and, masks. But, as the buildings start to open, we've worked on a program so that you can release print jobs without having to touch anything. So those facilities will become available as the buildings are able to be reopened. So those are some of the more common questions. I welcome anybody to put questions in the Q&A box, and I'll certainly try to answer them. Also, just a reminder to contact the Rutgers University Newark IT Help Desk. The information is on runit.rutgers.edu. And we can answer any questions you have about technology or try to connect you with other resources at the university that you may need.
David, question for you. Would you be able to tell us a little bit about the Kite and Key store that we have on campus and how it's meeting some of the technological needs of our students?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great question. And so the Kite and Key store is our computer store on campus. They have both a virtual presence on their website and also in person. And they have a bunch of different hardware models that are discounted with education pricing. I invite you to go to the MyRun website, myrun.newark.rutgers.edu. And there we have also computer recommendations. So if you're just not sure about, what computer you might need to sort of, be successful during this time, then you can read those recommendations and then visit the Kite and Key store and either virtually or I guess when they reopen in person, and you can select from some of the models that they have available.
Fantastic. Thank you, David.
Mm-hmm.
I see a question here in the chat room, and this was actually for Natalia. A student was wondering about the difference between the financial aid packages that a graduate student would receive versus what an undergraduate student would receive. So could you kind of explain some of the differences? I know that undergraduates are able to earn more Pell Grants and things of that nature, but the student wanted to find out, kind of the subtle differences between the two.
Sure, Aaron, thank you. Undergraduate students qualify for need-based grants from the federal and the state, so they get potential Pell Award or a New Jersey State grant. Once a student has earned their bachelor's degree, they no longer qualify for those resources. Those are geared to students who are seeking their first bachelor's degree. As a graduate level student, they qualify for federal loans. Federal loans are loans that are sponsored by the Department of Education. They have different criteria of eligibility, whereas a student simply needs to do the FAFSA and meet the federal student aid guidelines to qualify for. There is no credit check for the federal direct unsubsidized loan that they qualify for. There's some options for deferments, whereas if a student goes into a certain discipline of study, they can have their loans forgiven up to a certain amount. Um, there's also a grace period upon graduation where students don't go into immediate repayment. So it does prove to be a better option for financing your education than, let's say, a private educational loan. So a graduate student will qualify for federal loans. The maximum that a student can qualify for the school year is $20,500. That is usually adequate to meet the billable charges. But if students have additional expenses that they're trying to maintain, such as housing, food, transportation to and from school, and their federal direct loan is not adequately meeting those costs, they can apply for a federal plus loan, which is an additional loan to graduate students. There is a credit check for that loan program. Um, in order to get all of this information in regards to their federal loan eligibility, the interest rates, they can go on to our financial aid website. If they just Google Rutgers Office of Financial Aid, our financial aid website will come up. Under types of financial aid, we have a listing of the federal direct loan program as well as the plus loan program. If students are unsure about taking out a loan or they simply just want to borrow just enough to meet their educational costs, every student at Rutgers is given a financial aid counselor based upon their last name. They can email our office and set up a time to meet with their financial aid advisor to go over detailed information about their aid package, about their term bills, so they're making the best informed decisions for themselves.
Great. And Natalia, just one quick follow-up, and then we're going to move into the academic portions. A student asked about scholarships, graduate school scholarships. Are those primarily school-based, or are there university-based graduate scholarships that students can apply for?
So most of the scholarships that are offered are school-based scholarships. So the schools would have the best information as to what scholarship opportunities are available for Rutgers students. We do have external scholarships that students can apply for. So companies every year will offer donor dollars to students to go to school based upon their academic study, ethnicity. We list some of these external scholarships on the My Rutgers website so they can access that information. What I am going to do in the link, I'm going to put the financial aid website. I'm also going to put information about scholarships so graduate students can start seeking out that information. But particularly the best base would be to reach out to your graduate programs to see if there's any fellowships or scholarships that a student may be deemed eligible for.
Fantastic, fantastic. Okay. Question, David. I have a student who's asking how do they set up their university email. They have their net ID, but are unsure how to finish the process to get their email active.
So if they have activated their NetID, their email should already be activated, but they can go to netid.rutgers.edu. And on the left-hand side, there's a button that says Activate Services. And when they go to that page, you actually see a whole list of services that they're eligible for as a student. That includes things like Zoom. That includes things like, their Scarlet Mail account, which should be active by default. So that's where I would advise them to look, is to make sure that they've activated the services that they need. And then once they've done that, they can just go to scarletmail.rutgers.edu, and they should be able to log in with their NetID and password.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Okay, so we're going to transition into the academic portion of our town hall meeting. I want to have the deans give remarks and, just kind of usher us into asking questions around academic advising. We're still monitoring the chat, so please put any of your questions into the chat. We're going to start with Dean Henderson, and we'll go from there.
Good morning again. The graduate school oversees all of the PhD programs at Rutgers North, as well as the master's programs that are specifically located in the School of Arts and Sciences. We know that several of you are joining us this fall, and we are super excited about meeting you and about helping you meet your educational goals. Some of you may already be aware that the university has announced that its plans for the delivery of courses in the fall semester are hybrid, meaning that most courses will be delivered remotely, but there are some courses that will be delivered in either a hybrid format or will be delivered in person. You should be receiving information from the program in which you will begin study about the modality in which your courses will be offered. This is happening on a course by course basis and takes into consideration the availability of the instructor, the size of the course, the available facilities for the course, as well as the curricular needs of the program. My expectation is that many of you will begin remotely. I know that there are students in some programs, for example, criminal justice and public administration, where all courses will be delivered remotely. But there are some students in other programs, such as behavioral and neurosciences, where all courses will be delivered in person. So again, this is a hybrid model. It allows for maximum flexibility. And so I encourage you to reach out to your program directors who you have been in touch with throughout the admissions process, and also reach out to the Office of the Graduate School so that you are best able to get the most up-to-date information. And just a note, our goal here is to ensure maximum safety for every member of our community. And so what you are seeing and what we are describing with the availability of remote services and the availability of remote appointments and sort of all of these developments that have happened fairly quickly at the university, this is designed to ensure that we can be most responsive to the latest public health guidance. Our goal is to keep you safe and to help you reach your goals. And so whatever we can do to help you do that, then we are prepared to do so. Some of you have inquired about your student either scholarships or tuition remission. And we want to encourage you that if your program has extended to you an offer of financial support for your studies and you have accepted that offer, that's the key, that you have accepted that offer and you have indicated your plans to enroll, then those will be applied to your bills. You don't need to worry about those amounts. And in fact, you can simply do some simple math and deduct those amounts from whatever your total amount due might look like. There are some processes that take a little bit longer, such as the sending students information about the availability of student health insurance. Every student at Rutgers is eligible for student health insurance. The student health insurance process takes a few weeks, and so that will happen a little bit later. Students who already have health insurance, either from a current employment of their own or because they are a dependent on another person's insurance policy have the ability to waive Rutgers insurance mandate. And so we like to encourage students to review the coverage that they already have, review the coverage that you already have, and compare that coverage to the coverage that Rutgers makes available. The university's options are they are pretty extensive, but the options are fairly limited. So while you have a lot of coverage in the student health insurance plan, there aren't a lot of options. And so we want to make sure that you are doing a full consideration of what best fits your needs and also your expectations and perhaps even your desire to stay with current providers. All of that will be made available to you. And I also want to encourage folks, Rutgers has a fairly robust websites for some of the offices that we've been describing. And so the Office of Information Technology, for example, has a pretty extensive website. I do encourage you to visit some of those sites. Some questions won't be answered there, and for sure, I can predict that they won't. But I anticipate that some of your questions may have been predicted by maybe FAQs on those sites or bulletins that have been made available on those sites. So please do take a look. My goal is to ensure that you have all information that is available at your fingertips. And it may very well be the case that a question arises after hours. And so we want to ensure that you get what you need. The other thing that I'll mention is for students who are entering into our master's programs. Our master's programs are expecting pretty sizable, robust enrollment this fall. And so we know that there are a lot of you who are joining us, and we're excited about that. These programs follow the same sort of guidelines about course delivery that our PhD programs offer. And so again, if you have questions about an individual course, you can reach out to your graduate program director, the person you've been in touch with through admissions, or you can reach out to the Office of the Graduate School Dean, that's me, and we can work to find that information for you. All of you are ours in a way, and so we are here to help and look forward to working with you and seeing you through. Thank you, Aaron.
Fantastic. I'm going to turn the floor over to Dean McCarthy.
Thank you. And again, welcome to all the students who will be joining us in the fall. So we will, as Shania suggested, be virtual this fall exclusively. We'll have about 10 courses that are available for master's and PhD students, including some special topics on mass incarceration and reentry and on gender and crime. And we're looking forward to you taking our classes and getting to know you. And I'll ask Jimmy, our graduate student program coordinator, if he wants to add some things about the fall.
Hello, everyone. So for the fall semester, graduate students who still need to register, students can register with me directly by email or by phone. We can set up appointments. Most graduate courses, well, some graduate courses do require a special permission number. Students that are enrolled in our dual degree program do need a special permission number to register for graduate courses. So if you haven't registered, it is important that you do reach out to me to set up an appointment so that we can do so. Also, the Office of Academic Programs, which I currently work in, we will be having a virtual, we'll be sending out more information about that. So this way, if students don't have an appointment, but yet still need to speak to a counselor, they can stop in on Wednesday and meet with me during the virtual open house sessions to answer any questions that they have.
Fantastic. And I'll actually speak on behalf of our dean, Dean Charles Manifield, as well as for the School of Public Affairs and Administration. Like Dean Henderson and Dean McCarthy was saying, the emphasis for this semester is keeping everyone safe. And although we would love to be in person and be together, the remote learning option still enables us to remain connected. Many of our all of our classes are going to be remote. Several will be synchronous, as well as asynchronous, which we'll discuss in a little bit. But it doesn't change the quality of our academic curriculum. Our faculty have been, preparing their classes for a number of months now, and so they're eager to meet all of you and to push you to the next academic level. So we're excited to have you. And with that, I want to actually ask our academic panelists, and the method I'll ask Dean Henderson, can you talk a little bit about the difference between synchronous and asynchronous learning, and ultimately what students can expect in both areas?
Absolutely. So, synchronous learning in a course describes the delivery of course content and engagement with students at the same time, meaning typically in face to face, or if we're talking about a remote learning environment, at the same time with everyone in the same portal. So, for example, right now, all of us are engaged in a synchronous meeting. We are here at the same time, and there is nothing about this meeting that is happening elsewhere on another platform, happening tomorrow or over the weekend. We are all here together. What students can expect from synchronous courses is they can expect real-time feedback, they can expect a real-time engagement with their instructors as well as with their peers in the course, and they can expect that there will be multiple opportunities for engagement. So engagement with course material, engagement with a lecture, engagement with guest speakers. This is what synchronous describes. If we're talking about an asynchronous learning environment, that simply means that much of the course content is available for students sort of in a static model, usually in one of our learning management systems, and students are encouraged to work through that content on their own time. So as they decide to, maybe I want to do some of my coursework on Monday evening because I work during the day, or because I'm taking care of young children during the day, I don't want to get into the course until 5:30 in the evening. You're able to do that in an asynchronous course modality. Students can work through the course in their own time, and they still have access to peers, but they don't have access to meetings that are happening at the same time all together like we do right now in this moment. Some of the benefits of asynchronous learning are the flexibility of scheduling. You may wonder, well, how can I finish this degree when I am taking care of children, or I'm taking care of a loved one, I'm a caregiver for someone, or where I teach school during the day. I'm a school teacher and I teach until 3:45 every day. How can I engage in this course? How can I engage in this program if my course is scheduled, the course is scheduled for 12 o'clock? I can never go to graduate school if the course is at 12 o'clock. What an asynchronous model offers you is the ability to get some of that high quality course content made available to you, usually online or through printed materials, and to have the flexibility to work through those materials on your own time. It doesn't mean that you work through it alone. It only means that you work through it as your schedule permits. And I know for people who are returning to school after having been away for a few years, for people who have caregiving obligations, and particularly for people who work and whose work schedules are not particularly flexible, this allows them the flexibility to take courses, to see video recorded lectures, to see their professor describing some concept that they've been having trouble with, to engage in tutoring, to engage in group work, all at their own pace. One of the reasons that I am encouraged by the growth of asynchronous learning opportunities is because I think it opens up a world of learning for people who have been convinced that traditional school, traditional graduate school is not for them, simply because they are adults and they have other responsibilities, and simply their time isn't that flexible. The availability, the rollout of more of these options really does make the enterprise more accessible. And I think it also allows for people to use their own learning style to succeed. I know that personally, I benefit from having a recording that I can stop and that I can go back to and play again when I'm struggling to understand something. In a live lecture class, I don't have the ability to keep raising my hand and say, can you please go back and say what you just said. You may get a few options to do that, but typically things move really quickly when we're in face-to-face interaction, and just how we communicate fast. And so I benefit from that. I know that there are other people whose learning style and their sort of learning strategies for success really benefit from the ability to stop, to go back 15 seconds, just to hear it again, to make sure I got it, and to sort of let those synapses fire off in my brain. And so I'm excited about it, and I think that students should see this for the benefits that it offers, while at the same time fully engaging in all of the asynchronous modes of engagement that are available. Usually those will look like discussion boards or videos and video responses, as well as shared work, sort of shared documents, shared products that students are creating together. And it's exciting. So thank you for asking. It's a good question.
Great. Dean McCarthy, question for you. And there was a question that came up in the chat. For PhD students, obviously the library is not, it's a good question. Is the library available? And also, how can they conduct research even within this remote environment?
So that's a great question. My understanding is that the libraries will be open. There's a criminal justice library in the law school and the School of Criminal Justice. That won't be open immediately in the fall, but we'll monitor that to see if it's possible to open later in the quarter. In the semester. As in terms of conducting research, right now the university, and somebody will correct me if I'm wrong, is moving to stage 3, which will allow some traditional social science research in terms of gathering data from people in a person-to-person environment, following social distancing practices with the use of masks and other safety protocols. We have to get approval for moving forward on any new research and picking up old research, which sometimes graduate students are involved in terms of working with professors from the administration. But we are moving forward with that. And so if students are part of research projects or want to initiate their own research, we now have put steps in place to do that. They will still, if it's a new project, have to get IRB approval, and that process is moving as well as it always has. I'll ask Jimmy if he has anything to add to that.
As Dean McCarthy mentioned, the library is open. They are asking that students, have to swipe in, and that also they are limiting the amount of students that have access to the Dana library. I encourage those who haven't to read Cantor's Returning to Plan on the school's website. It has a lot of information about research, about facilities and how they're operating moving for the fall semester. So again, if you haven't, definitely make sure that you do read Cantor's plan for returning back to campus.
Great, Jimmy. Can I ask you one other question? How students get an appointment with you? I know that our undergraduate students are able to use the platform Run for Success, and I know there's been talk about the graduate students moving in that direction. So how can your students get in contact with you?
Yeah, so students can email me directly to set up an appointment. My email is jimmyca@scj.rutgers.edu. Some students actually do have access to make appointments through Run for Success /Navigate. A lot of our students in our dual degree program have access to still make appointments with me. And I've had some master's students be able to schedule appointments. So I encourage those students to first try to see if you can schedule an appointment through Run for Success. And if you're not able, to email me directly so I can set up an appointment with you.
Great, thank you. And for the students who are in the School of Public Affairs and Administration, you actually have an assistant dean. Her name is Reena Patel. She is your advisor. You can email her directly. We are in the process of moving to Run for Success, which is the academic platform that all of our undergraduate students use to make academic advising appointments. And so we're slowly beginning to roll that out. But in the meantime, please feel free to reach out to her for any of your advisement needs that you may have. I just want to go back through the chat because I know we're starting to wind down and make sure that we've answered just about all of the questions that we may have. There was a question, and David, I don't know if you can answer this. What happens, let's say, if the student needs to borrow a laptop, let's say, during the semester, their laptop, they may not necessarily have the funds to actually buy one. Is there a loaner program available through the university?
Yeah, there is one, and information for the fall and how to request a loaner laptop will be available by mid-August. So I invite you to look at runit.rutgers.edu, and the process there will be pretty clear. You'll explain your need, and once you make an appointment, you'll pick it up. So the answer is yes, and mid-August.
Fantastic. And Jimmy, I'm going to come back to you because another question came in. How can students see in the schedule of classes if a class is synchronous or asynchronous?
Yeah, so if students go to the university schedule of classes, under the course title, there's actually some information that lets you know if the class is asynchronous or synchronous. It also has information about which platforms certain classes are using. Some classes are using Canvas, some are using Blackboard. One of our graduate courses is using a platform called Slack. But that information is in there in the course information. Again, under the course title, you'll see a brief message that basically lets you know how that course is being taught and sort of what platforms that course is using.
Great, great. Okay, so again, students, if you have any additional questions, please feel free to put them in the chat, but I'm going to actually allow each of our panelists to give final thoughts as we get ready to close out. So let's start with Dean Henderson, and then we'll work our way around.
Thank you so much, Aaron. I just want to encourage all of our incoming students, as everyone who's here, and there are a lot of you here, to please take a look at the plan for returning to campus that has been published and made available to the Rutgers Newark community. You will, of course, see that things look a little different on campus in the fall. The university is instituting a mask mandate for all Rutgers buildings. And so there's an expectation, there's a mandate that all individuals, irrespective of role, will be wearing a mask at all times inside a Rutgers building. That will look curious, that will look different. It may look a little strange, and it's okay. Again, this is being done to ensure that we have the highest health and wellness expectations for our community and for all of you. And so things will look a little strange and it may be a little bit disorienting, but I just want to encourage folks. Our commitment is to you, is to our students, and we are expending every effort to keep you in our care. And we cannot wait for you to join us this fall. And we look forward to welcoming you in all of the different ways that we will welcome you to the Rutgers Newark community. This really is a special place. And so thank you for joining us this morning. And for those of you who are joining us from outside the US, thank you for joining us this evening. We look forward to meeting you all.
Fantastic. Thank you. Dean McCarthy, final thoughts.
So one thing that will be difficult in this, and one of the things that will be difficult in this transition is that people may feel that they can't connect with individual instructors and professors. And we want to let you know that everyone in the school will have virtual office hours. We're still working out how to set that up on our web pages, but we will be available, and we do encourage you to reach out to us and set up appointments and get to know all of the faculty and instructors and your fellow students. That's part of what makes university life so wonderful, is that you do get to interact with people and learn together. So we're hopeful that we will get to meet you all, albeit virtually, for the fall.
Great, awesome. Jimmy, final thoughts?
So again, I do encourage that if anyone has questions, just to reach out to their advisors. We're we're accessible by email. We are trying to, again, find different creative ways that we can interact with students live. Again, we're having our virtual drop-in hours on Wednesdays, so this way we can answer questions that students have. There was one question that a student did pose, asking about full-time, taking 4 graduate courses versus 3. I do just want to mention that if you are a student in our master's program, you would need to take 3 graduate courses to be full-time if you want to carry full-time status. But students in our dual degree program would need to at least register for 4 classes, 12 credits, to carry full-time status.
Thank you so much. Dean Williams, final thoughts?
Yeah, yes. I just want to reiterate that we're here to support you. You know, as mentioned several times, even though, you know, we're in a kind of a new space, we are here virtually. Many of our offices will also be accessible by appointment only. If students, for whatever reason, need to be able to have that interaction, of course, adhering to the social distancing guidelines. And if you have any questions, we're always here to reach out. I know that there has been a link that has been posted to the chat, myrun.newark.rutgers.edu/COVID office hours, which has lots of information about each individual office and how to connect. So again, if you have any questions, I would reference that.
Thank you. Natalia, any final thoughts?
I guess I'm going to restate a lot of what everyone has said. You know, at Rutgers University Newark, we really look to support our students to give them sound counsel and guidance to move them forward in their academic studies. So we are here to support you. Please reach out to us if you have any questions, any concerns. My office is here, which is the Office of Financial Aid. We're here virtually to have WebEx appointments, virtual counter. No question is too small. If we don't have the answer, we will direct you to the office that can best assist your needs. So I think everyone has mentioned MyRun is a useful and great tool to gather all the information about the university. Also, the My Rutgers portal, that is also another useful tool for students. And again, we are the most useful resource for our students. So please reach out to us for any information, any questions that you have. We're here to help.
Thank you. David, final thoughts?
Really just want to echo what the other panelists have said. You know, our main goals here is to ensure your success academically, and certainly feel free to reach out to the help desk. You know, we'll try to help you with whatever your questions are. There's really no such thing as a bad question. There is a very large net of services that are available, especially when it comes to IT issues. And so, you know, just ask your question and we'd be happy to help you. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you all for joining us today. We're so glad to have you. Please take note that our campus is a very strong, interconnected support system here to facilitate your academic success. Like everyone said, we are an email, web chat, phone call away, and we will do all that we can to walk with you in this transition and be the ones to cheer you on when you eventually walk across the stage. So again, have a wonderful week. We are so excited to have you. We are going to record this town hall and make it available for you to go back and watch at a later date. Have a wonderful week. To the panelists, thank you so much for all of your insight and your thoughts today. And we're going to end out. You guys take care.
Bye, everyone. Take care.
Bye, everybody. Have a good day.
Bye-bye. Have a good one.